liar. And I lie all the time, like to just make my life easier. Whatever seems like the convenient thing to say in the moment, I'll say it, whether it has any bearing on truth or reality or not, okay? That isn't true, but let's just assume for a moment that that were my nature, my personality. I'm much more of the opposite in reality, but we'll play along for a moment and say, that's my personality. Now let's say I start meditating. I come to satsang. I read spiritual literature. I listen to a spiritual leader speak about the importance of truth. And so I decide that I'm going to change. I'm going to stop speaking so many lies. I'm going to start speaking truth. Well, that's great. But there's no need to worry about being consistent then, right? My mind would say, well, I've got to be consistent. I mean, I got to tell at least maybe 5 lies a day so that people still know who I am, so there's still some thread of consistency. Right? Of course not. It doesn't make any sense. If I'm trying to change, I'm going to want to change as fully as I can. I'm not going to worry about maintaining consistency with the pattern that I'm trying to change. If I am the type who stays awake till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, doing whatever people do till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I sleep till 9, 10 o'clock every morning, and then I decide, new year, new habit. I'm going to go to sleep by, on time, by 10 o'clock, 11 at the latest every night. I'm going to get up early. Well, you wouldn't say, well, at least 2, 3 times a week I still should sleep till 9 or 10 just to be consistent. It would actually ruin the development of your new habit. It's going to be much harder to actually get a new habit going if you decide that at least, 15, 20, 25, 30% of the time, you've got to be the way you used to be just to be consistent. So don't worry. Don't worry at all about being consistent in your behaviors that you're looking to change, in your value system, ethics, way of living that you're looking to change. Change is the opposite of consistency. So to say, well, I'm looking to change, but how to stay consistent, well, that's going to drive you crazy. So understand that the truth of who you are is already consistent. What you're trying to change. Chalo Renida, Abhogya. Ablok Pite Rishikamar Jo He Renida, Abhogya. What you're trying to change is not something that's worth staying consistent. What's consistent is that truth of who you are. So that's the distinction. As you work to change, allow yourself to really fully flow into that which is changing. The whole point of newness is letting go of that which is old and stale. You don't want to say, well, I'm looking to become free of my anger, but just for the old time's sake, I'm gonna throw a temper tantrum a couple times a week, just so everyone still knows who I am. If you're looking to free yourself of anger, dive into that fully. The you, the core of you, is always there. You don't need to hold on to bad patterns and habits or ways of thought just for some guise of consistency. Change what needs to be changed fully, completely, to whatever extent you can. Questions here? Any question that anyone here has? Just raise your hand, they'll bring you a mic. Yes.
Namaste. I feel like in India I'm changing, and this is like my life-changing experience. And people and life which is left a little bit behind in my country, it seems so distant for me, and it's a little bit scary for me, and it's scary for the people who are waiting for me there. And how to deal with this fear of letting go and entering something new, and how to get in touch with the people, like I'm not totally disappearing.
Yeah, you know, when we embark on a spiritual path and we change so much as she's already changing here in India, we do find a lot of the times that a lot of our relationships from the past are no longer, they don't fit anymore. You know, it's like if you were 300 pounds and really unhealthy, and then you went away to some get healthy retreat and you lost a bunch of weight. Well, the jeans that you used to wear would no longer fit. The clothes that you had that had any kind of buttons or zippers or snaps or something that actually required it to be the right size rather than, you know, a sari that you could tie the same sari on any size. But those old clothes, they wouldn't fit you anymore. And you'd have to sometimes be prepared to let go of even what maybe was your favorite dress, favorite pair of pants, because, well, they only fit you if you were 80 pounds heavier than you are now. Now, obviously, relationships are a lot deeper than how much we love a dress or a pair of jeans, but it's the same fact. There are some that are deeply associated with former unhealthy ways of living. Because remember, love is love, whether you have a spiritual awakening or not. If someone really loves you, they're going to love you after a spiritual awakening. They're going to love you after you've changed. If it's a soul-to-soul love. They're not going to say, oh, I only liked the you that was stressed and angry and upset and an alcoholic. I don't like the new you. That wouldn't be someone who really loved you. So it's not that you have to let go of all of them. You only have to let go of the ones that contributed to, that fostered, that were attached in some way to your unhealthy way of living. Other ones will come around. It may take them a little while. I know in the beginning, you know, it took my parents a while, took other family members a while. Because when we change, people feel threatened. Everyone gets into kind of a groove. These are the people I hang out with. These are the people I go drinking with. These are the people I do drugs with. These are the people I shoplift with. These are the people I gossip with. Whatever we do together. But then when you come and you change and you say, well, I don't want to be drinking anymore, or using drugs, or shoplifting, or gossiping, or any of these habits or patterns. There will be an initial resistance on the part of many, not all. The more awake your friends and family are, the more they'll be able to just embrace it from the beginning. I had some who were able to just embrace it from the beginning and even encourage me when everyone else was discouraging me. But the majority of people feel threatened in the moment of, it's a disruption. It's a disruption in the status quo. And any disruption forces everyone to re-look at themselves. And that's uncomfortable for people. But the truth is, it's actually a gift for them. Me being here and making these choices ended up being such a gift in so many ways, I think, for my parents, for other family members, because the lessons that they learned, not that I taught them, but going through the challenge of having a daughter who was not going to just, move down the block and pop out a bunch of grandkids and come over every Sunday for dinner. Like having a child who was breaking the mold, in and of itself, forced them to learn lessons within themselves about acceptance and gratitude and adaptability and love and all of that otherwise they would not have been forced to learn, which I think were really, really powerful lessons. But also what happens as time goes on is people who really love you, even if initially they resist because it's new and it's different and it's shaking up everything. People don't like things to be shaken up. Slowly, they actually will be really happy for you, and they will come around because they will realize, oh my God, she's so much happier. She's so much more peaceful. I remember my mom saying to me one day in the very, very beginning, she said, I don't know how to explain this. I don't know what it means. But somehow being around you just makes me feel very serene. That was her first experience of, even though I've been resisting it, even though it's not at all something that I was expecting, there's something very beautiful about what has happened to my daughter that actually even makes me feel peaceful around her. But that takes a little bit of time because everyone's got their initial defense mechanisms up. Don't rock the boat, right? Everything was fine the way it is. Don't rock the boat. And it takes everyone a little bit of time to regain their balance and stability when you do rock the boat. So you've got to give them time to rebalance themselves. But once they do, those who really loved you will still love you. And they will still support you. And you won't have to lose those relationships. The only ones you're going to have to lose are the ones that were inextricably linked with unhealthy patterns of thought, of action, of living. Those are the ones that you don't want to be part of anymore. I mean, if you've got a choice between being 80, 90 pounds overweight, really unhealthy, but being able to fit into that dress you loved, versus losing the weight, being healthy, but the dress for fat you no longer fits. Wouldn't you rather the second situation? I mean, you can always buy a new favorite dress. And in the same way, relationships that are just based on unhealthy patterns, those are not deep, those are not meaningful. Make new relationships then that are in line with healthy habits, healthy ways of thinking. But I think you'll be able to hold on to a lot of them, because I think more of the people than you probably realize really do love you on a deep level. And eventually, in their own time, will be able to come around and love and honor and celebrate and support the changes that you're making. And until then, that's why it's so important to have a sangha, a community of people who do support that, whether it's in person, whether it's online, but having people who do support that, who you can turn to while everyone else around you starts to rebalance themselves. Yeah, beautiful. Other questions? Yeah, just raise your hand high.
Actually, I'm suffering from a back problem from last 3-4 years. If I am, supposed to sit, I cannot hold on for more than 30 minutes. But if I'm walking, running, or doing any other activity, it's totally fine. So this year, somebody suggested me that if any issue from the spine is there, it's basically a Dev Dosh. So
it's basically what?
Dev Dosh.
Okay.
So can you please elaborate? Is it something that you carry from your previous birth, a kind of a burden or something?
So I haven't heard that specifically. What I have heard a lot of is the relationship between different physical illnesses and ailments and different emotional struggles and challenges and traumas that we faced, things we're holding on to. There's definitely a whole school of healing that's rooted around what different parts of your body connect to in terms of emotions, in terms of states of mind, and how different patterns of thought, different affirmations, different mantras can be used to help release and free the pain in the different parts of the body. As far specifically as spine and something in your past birth, I couldn't tell you. What I would say is that we know that everything from the past impacts us. Earlier this life, past lives, it all impacts us. But what I would focus more on rather than the why, because a lot of times we can get lost in the why. And sometimes being able to know the why can help. Oh, okay, it's because of that. Even imagine it's from a past life. In your past life, you did something to someone, due to which now you're having this. Well, in some cases, whether it's about past lives, whether it's about earlier in this life, whether it's about our own emotional psyche, sometimes insight is enough. Simply knowing, that's why. In psychology, they talk a lot about what they call conversion diseases. Things, for example, like a frozen shoulder. Meaning that on some level I really want to punch this guy, but I'm not, I'm repressing it. And in that repression of punching this person I'm really angry at, I've developed a frozen shoulder. Now, there's definitely some evidence that that simple insight of, oh, okay, it's not actually about my shoulder, it's my anger I need to deal with, can be really helpful. In many, many more cases, from what I've seen in my own life and what I've heard from so many other people, from what I've heard from healers of all sorts, is regardless of what actually is causing something, it's usually more effective to work with how you can treat it. And you don't always have to know the cause to know the treatment. Somebody who's very good with energy medicine or working with the nerves, working with different aspects of the body, doesn't necessarily need to know the specific act or trauma or experience that has caused this to tighten here or go out of whack there. They're able to work with it. There's a lot of people who do a lot of beautiful healing work where other doctors say nothing we can do, there's nothing we see that's wrong, you know. So I wouldn't give up by any means. I wouldn't just resign yourself to, well, it must be something from the past, therefore I'm stuck with it. I would be happy to, where do you live? Where are you from? From Dehradun. There's actually people in Dehradun I know who do beautiful, beautiful work with something called Nadi Yoga. The yoga of actually the nadis, the energy nerves running through our body, the channels running through our body. So if you talk to me after satsang, I'd be happy to connect you with that. We definitely know that back pain very frequently has an emotional component. But that doesn't mean it's all in your head in a way that simply getting your head straight is somehow going to fix it. There's a lot of things that are in our head that simply trying to work with it psychologically doesn't always work. You know, one of my favorite pieces of data on this is that well over 50% of people who have a limb amputated have pain in what's called the phantom limb. Meaning, imagine I've actually had my arm amputated. It's gone, it's over. But I experience excruciating pain in my arm. Now there's no arm anymore. They call it phantom limb pain. Like you have pain in a part of your body that no longer even exists. And what I love about that piece of data is, for anyone who thought that pain existed only in the body and didn't actually have a mental component to it, we realize, oh my God, I don't even have the part of my body anymore and it still hurts. Clearly, the pain is existing in my mind. But that doesn't mean that either it's something you can't be free of because it's from the past, or that it's only in your mind like you're a mental case in some way. No. There's all kinds of very subtle ways that they work with people with phantom limb pain. It's not a matter of just get therapy and overcome it. There's very, very specific techniques that they use with the brain to heal that pain. So knowing that something is in the mind doesn't mean that somehow we on our own should just be able to figure it out and make it go away, or that somehow there's something weak about us or problematic about us. What it means is that we have a lot of beautiful opportunity to heal in ways that are far beyond your simple surgical operation or your simple pill. That we actually get to tap into an energy, an intelligence in the body. That if you just have to undergo an operation or take some pills, you don't actually tap into it. So take this as an opportunity to tap into aspects of yourself. And come talk to me after satsang. We'll connect you with the people in Dehradun who do that work. Yeah, in the back.
Good evening, ma'am. Hari Om. Ma'am, I would like to know about who is God, Brahma, or maybe Parabrahma. Can you please elaborate on it? Thank you.
Who is God? Well, I would say the question is, who is not God? It's a lot easier and faster to answer, because who is not God is no one, nothing. Because God is infinite. God pervades everything. There's a beautiful mantra in the Upanishads that says, Isha vasyamidam sarvam, yat kincha jagatyam jagat, tena tyaktena bhunjita, magridaha kasya sviddhana. And it means everything in the universe is pervaded by the divine. There's nothing, no one, nowhere not pervaded by the divine. So who is God? God is everything. God is that spark. And we can use so many different words. The seers and the sages, the prophets, the mystics of all of the world's religions and traditions for thousands and thousands of years have used so many different words to describe that presence, that spark in each of us. I mean, take a human body, for example. Well, I've got matter, physical matter, which is the physical body. Now, on some level, that is also God. The 5 elements are also God. But they are the constantly changing part. Like a leaf that's green that becomes red or yellow or brown in the autumn, and then it falls down to the earth, and then it becomes soil. Well, the elements of that leaf are also God, but it's that part of the creation that's constantly changing. The form is changing. The carbon, the hydrogen, the nitrogen, the oxygen is still there, whether it's a green leaf or whether it's a brown leaf or whether it's soil on the ground. It's still the elements. But it's the elements in the frame of form, packaging, that which is changing. The essence is the unchangeable. So if you look at my body, for example, me, there's 2 aspects. There's a lot more than 2, but for the sake of this discussion, let's just say 2. Let's say physical physical body, and then let's say soul. Okay? And we'll lump energetic body, subtle body for the moment with soul, just for the sake of the discussion. So we've got that which is physical, that which is not. Well, the physical body is also God in that it's the 5 elements. But that's constantly changing. That's form. Every day it's different. It may look the same to you, but I've got brand new skin cells. These are sloughing off. If you had some, forensic expert come in after I was gone, they'd be able to tell you very quickly that I had sat here. I'm sure I've left hair everywhere and parts of my skin everywhere. Like, we're literally shedding ourselves as we walk through the world. And then I've got new skin growing, and I've got new hair growing. So we're constantly changing, even though we may look mostly the same. But eventually we all go through the big change, death. The body gets cremated. Or the body gets buried and slowly disintegrates, either way. But the soul, someone has died when that soul has left them, right? I mean, otherwise, what essentially at the core is the difference between a living being and a corpse? The soul has left the body. It's the only difference. Soul is there, everything is on. Soul leaves the body, everything is off. Finished. So who each of us is, at the core is that divine. We are pervaded by the divine, the essence of who we are, the essence of what everything is the divine. We're in different forms. That's a leaf, I'm a human. Just the divine in different forms. An apple, an orange, a river, a lion, a tree, a baby. The divine in different forms. But it's all the divine. So God is everything, everywhere, the creator and the creation. You know, a lot of people mistakenly think that Hinduism is a polytheistic religion, that we believe in many gods. We don't. We believe in many reflections, infinite number of possible reflections, manifestations of the same God. But here's what's interesting. We're not even actually a monotheistic religion, meaning just one God. Because what we really believe is that there's nothing but God. So it's not there's one God and that one God is sitting someplace with one specific set of criteria and characteristics, one role. We actually believe there is nothing but God. That's what God realization is. God realization is not, oh yeah, I see, I see God over there. Just squint the right way and tilt your head the right way and, get your binoculars in the right place. That's not God realization. It's that I actually realize that presence, omnipresence of the divine everywhere, around me, in me, through me, as me. It's why we use the term God realization and self-realization interchangeably. Because it's the same thing. So God is everyone, everything. Beautiful. Yeah, last.
Good evening, ma'am. Is it true that we are living in Kali Yuga?
Is it true that we're living in Kali Yuga?
Is it true?
I'm so sorry. Can you hold the mic there?
Is it true that we are living in the golden period of Kali Yuga?
Yes, we are living in Kali Yuga. According to our Vedic wisdom, time is not linear, but it's cyclical. But the cycles are very, very long, so don't worry, you're not gonna find yourself going through one unless you remember many, 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 many past lives. The final era before we make that shift, it's like we just had the winter solstice. We just had the shortest day of the year, the most darkness. And then things shift. And now since the 21st and even just the last week, slowly, 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 there's more light. Sun rises just a little earlier. Sets just a little later. Slowly, slowly, slowly. So Kali Yuga is that era just before we make that turn back toward light and truth and goodness. But Kali Yuga is not an excuse. It's just an awareness. I've heard a lot of people say, well, my God, I mean, kya kare, Kali Yuga to hai. Like, what are you going to do? It's Kali Yuga. We're never thrown into situations that we're not able to handle. And given that every one of us has chosen to take birth, that our soul has chosen to take birth in this era, in this yuga, means we're ready for it. Means we're ready to bring the light that is needed for the darkness. Kali Yuga is an awareness, it's a reminder. Oh yeah, I'm going to be lured away from spirituality. I'm going to be lured away from truth. I'm going to be lured away from goodness. There's going to be this strong power of Maya, of illusion, that's going to pull on me. I need to be ever more vigilant, ever more aware, ever more anchored and grounded. Kali Yuga is not a death sentence to a life of decadence and hedonism and debauchery and darkness. It's actually a very powerful opportunity for spiritual vigilance within ourselves, not on others, but to be really vigilant, really aware, really mindful of, oh yeah, this is a time when I'm going to be, it's like if you've just started a diet and you're going to somebody's wedding, right? All right, it's going to be really hard. And you walk in with strategies. Because if you don't, I guarantee you're going to go home having eaten everything. You plan in advance. You eat in advance before you go so you're not hungry. You hang out over by the tea and coffee section rather than by the dessert section. If you want to talk to somebody, you don't talk to them standing over the desserts. You talk to them standing over the tea and coffee. You plan, you strategize, because you understand otherwise the temptation is just going to grab me. If you're trying to move away from habits of alcohol or drugs or whatnot, well, you're going to want to avoid going to places like bars, clubs, because the temptation is going to be really strong. And if you have to go for who knows what reason, you're going to want to go with a lot of very strong strategies in place to make absolutely certain that you don't get pulled away by temptation. And it's a beautiful opportunity. It's hard, but it's a beautiful opportunity to strengthen that inner resolve. And Kali Yuga gives us that same opportunity. Okay, so things are not quite what they're like, and as they were in the time when Bhagwan Krishna lived or the time when Bhagwan Ram lived. Like we're in different times than those that we read about. But what we're given is the opportunity to really stay anchored in light, even in darkness, to stay anchored in truth, even in that pull toward falsehood. And that's why our souls have chosen to be here in Kali Yuga. They signed up for the advanced course. They signed up for the, honors program, you could say. Right? It was always, I remember when I was in school, there would be regular math and honors math, or regular this and honors this. And the honors program was always much more difficult than the regular program. But you always got a lot more bonus points for it. Like you could actually walk into college, a full year ahead of everybody because you had taken all of these honors and AP classes. Well, in the same way, making the right decisions in Kali Yuga gets you a lot more inner, you can think of it, punya, karmic punya, than making the right decisions when everybody makes the right decisions. When there's no possibility even of making the wrong decisions because everybody's mind, or most people's minds, are so full of light and love. So recognize that your soul knows that you're up to the challenge. Took birth very consciously, very purposely at this time. For you to be able to be a beacon of light in darkness. A beacon of hope, of love. And to help bring about a change sooner rather than later. Because who knows, if we all work together, we can bring back a lot of the light and bring about a shift sooner even than we thought. So don't feel like we have to all just give up and wait it out. No. We've been very consciously called here to bring the light that this age of darkness needs. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evenings. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from all over the world. And I look so forward to seeing you all tomorrow evening for our special New Year's Eve Arti, Satsang, and then a very special fire ceremony tomorrow evening after Satsang of letting go, what we call a Swaha ceremony of letting go of the old to call in the new. So look forward to seeing you all with us tomorrow as well. And again, as I've been saying, we've got this beautiful New Year's retreat running. If you're part of it, wonderful. If you're not yet part of it and you'd like to sign up, feel free. Sevanandaji is here to help out. It's full of yoga, meditation, beautiful, inspiring talks on so many different powerful elements of spirituality and yoga and scriptures. And it's open to everybody. And so much love to you all.